Hello there! If you clicked on this link, you probably know who I am, but just in case you're brand new, my name is J.S. Puller, and I am the author of Captain Superlative, The Lost Things Club, and dozens of plays, mostly for children and young audiences. One of my favorite things about being a writer is the chance to go visit students at schools. You can actually learn about how to book me for your school down in the description below. But the best part of any school presentation, as most authors will tell you, is the question and answer section at the end. That's when the students are allowed to ask me any questions that they have on their mind. I get a lot of fun questions. I get a lot of kids asking how old I am. They ask my favorite soft drink. They ask me my favorite book. But there's one question that usually comes up that I don't have a good answer for. Someone will ask me, are they ever going to make Captain Superlative into a movie? I don't have a good answer for that. I would certainly love to make a movie of Captain Superlative, but that requires a lot more people than just me. Sometimes, though, when I'm trying to fall asleep at night, I start to think to myself, well, if they did make a movie of Captain Superlative, who would play Dr. Silverman, Janey's dad? He is the main adult character, after all, and a really big part of the story. So today, I'm going to share with you some of my top picks of actors who could play the role. So stay tuned and see if any of them maybe match the way that you have pictured Dr. Silverman. And if you haven't read Captain Superlative, there's information about how to get it, again, in the description below. So let's go. Okay, so our first option is in some ways the most obvious option, and that's Mark Ruffalo. Why is he the obvious option? Well, when I was writing the manuscript of Captain Superlative, I used Mark Ruffalo as sort of a visual reference about what I thought Dr. Silverman looked like. If you read descriptions of the character, you'll hear about his curly salt and pepper hair that's graying at the temples and his kind, smiling eyes. That's all based on staring lovingly at pictures of Mark Ruffalo. So he's the visual model. He's also moving into playing more mentor roles these days. A great example being Dylan Rhodes from the Now You See Me movies. A fun fact is that before I changed the name to Robert, Dr. Silverman was actually named Dylan in honor of this character. And of course, we can't talk about mentoring roles without talking about the Hulk. Mark Ruffalo's superhero cred, I mean, that just gives him a great edge, a great in for this movie. It makes him real credible as Janey's eventual mentor along with Captain Superlative. So yeah, that's our first choice, Mark Ruffalo. From our most obvious choice, we're now going into maybe one of the less obvious choices, and that is Craig Ferguson. For those of you sitting here wondering who that is, Craig Ferguson is a comedian and actor, and watching his late night talk show actually helped me get through grad school. A part of it is that he was so energetic and so funny, and I believe he would bring that energy into the role. I also admire his improv background. As a scriptwriter, I like it when actors stick to the words that I've written for them. But even I have to acknowledge that sometimes actors can come up with something in the moment that's better, that's funnier, that's more touching, and I think his background would help a lot. And as you can see, he's a bit of an animal guy. Dr. Silverman is a veterinarian, and one of my favorite things about Craig Ferguson is the way he used to have conversations with a pantomime horse and an electronic rhino, not to mention his robot skeleton back when he was doing his talk show. So there we have another choice, Craig Ferguson. All right, I'm not going to lie. This next one is purely selfish, but I have to at least consider Mark Hamill. He was definitely a childhood hero of mine. I was obsessed with Star Wars, and Luke is and remains my absolute favorite character. So I would just love the opportunity to meet him and work with him. But, to give credit where it's due, he's more than just a favorite. He's got a lot going for him. As some of you may know, Mark Hamill actually has a very, very long resume doing a lot of voiceover work. He's the Joker in my favorite version of Batman, among other things. All those funny voices would be absolutely great to bring to the role of Dr. Silverman. He's a dad. He does silly voices. That's what a lot of dads do. So Mark Hamill will be great there. And also, if you don't follow Mark Hamill on Twitter, you really should, because he has a platform of such positivity. Almost everything he posts makes me want to smile, and all the stories I hear about people meeting him, they just walk away so happy and so energized. Mark Hamill would be absolutely perfect for a story that's about standing up to bullies and figuring out who you want to be. Love him. I'm sure a lot of you were waiting for this guy, and now here he is, Nathan Fillion. I call him a fan favorite for very good reason. A couple years ago, I actually ran a Twitter poll to see who my followers thought would be best playing the role of Dr. Silverman, and Nathan won by a landslide. And whenever I do my presentations and I mention to teachers or librarians that Nathan Fillion is a frontrunner, they all get super excited. He already has a lot of experience playing a goofy dad, as anyone who watches any of his shows will know. And I think he's truly believable as someone who was nerdy in high school. It's kind of legendary the way that he was able to sneak in all kinds of Firefly references into Castle. So I think he would just be a great choice to play Dr. Silverman. Nathan Fillion remains a fan favorite, not just of my followers, but me personally, because I love everything he does. Neil Patrick Harris, who doesn't love this guy? He's a Tony Award winner and a triple threat. He would be perfect for Dr. Silverman for one thing. He has kids that are about Janey's age, so he can bring a lot of experience immediately into the story. He'd also be greatly prepared if Captain Superlative were ever turned into a musical. And for those of you who follow any of my feeds, you know that I am obsessed with musical theater, and I've even started writing songs, or at least lyrics, if Captain Superlative were ever to suddenly get picked up to become a great Broadway smash. I also have to add that Neil Patrick Harris would be a great choice because it would really upset Nathan Fillion, and as some of you know, I will do literally anything to get Nathan Fillion's attention. Nathan, are you watching now? Are you hearing this? I'm suggesting Neil Patrick Harris. You gonna stand up to that? Ultimately, there are just too many awesome choices to play Dr. Silverman. Idris Elba. If you watch his Booking.com commercials, he has all the quirk necessary for this character. Stephen Colbert, not only does he have big dad energy, but he really dives into any role. Lin-Manuel Miranda does everything 115%, and I wouldn't mind maybe collaborating with him on a musical. Hey Lin, if you're watching this, I'm available. And I can't forget Brian Darcy James, who went to my alma mater, Northwestern, go Wildcats. I would love him to play Dr. Silverman, although maybe not in the Shrek makeup. Then again, it would certainly add something to the story. So what do you think? Who do you, yes, specifically you, think should play Dr. Silverman if we ever made a movie of Captain Superlative? And more importantly, who did I miss? Go ahead and add your favorites to the comments down below. You never know what might happen. I truly believe that perhaps someday there is a future to further this story. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.